Welcome back to my series of me breaking down my favorite tracks from the Joshua Tree, which is honestly most of them. This is the love ballad. It has almost a different feeling at first than the other the tracks that came before it. It's even more minimal in its production, and Bono is singing in a very low register of his voice, but that gives them the room to basically build up to this incredible climax, which I would say the other two tracks don't really have that level of a like, right? That kind of energetic arc. For the other tracks is a little bit more like this and then fading away. So tender. Okay, stopping it already because and if you haven't watched my other videos, I know these songs very well. I grew up with this album, so this is not my first listen. This drum beat is super heavy on the kicks, excuse me, but that sounds like that was the fifth. So now I know where the tonic of the song is. That's cool. It's D again. Doom doonk, doom doom doonk, doom doom doonk, doom doom doonk, doom doom doonk. And it feels a little bit heartbeat like, even though a heartbeat doesn't do 3 in a row, it's still, I don't know, it just reminds me of that feeling. So already evoking something very like emotionally tender and vulnerable and primal, like love. The track just starts, right? There's no fade in here. Sounds to me like maybe a keyboard or some kind of synth doing a arpeggio of a major chord going down. Actually, I think maybe is it here? So that establishes the key center as D major. But if you pay attention, the edge is putting in these little weeping guitar. I think the guitar is actually, I don't know for sure, but that's the third. Sorry, up here. Maybe it is up here, actually, I'm not sure. Which is just so, it's like the gooey heart center of the chord. And there's also some other little, maybe there's little harmonics or something, but there's just all these little like details that create this sparse but very ornate texture already with this like bell-like synth. Oh, good. Good job, buddy. You hit the right note and everything. I scared him. I'm sorry, sweet boy. I'm sorry. Wow. Then the bass comes in, and the bass is once again sort of following the lead of the kick drum. So this is like, this really works to have the drums and the bass so in tune with each other. It also can work really nicely for them to play off of each other, but in this case, they are one. They are the rhythm section. And then the bass, of course, also establishes, in this case, the roots of all of the chords. Actually, I think it's all the way down here because it sounds really rich. And then that chord, so that's got to be a slide, right? Is that why it sounds so much like a human voice? Just. Except it sounds an octave higher, honestly. Actually, there's a synth. God, so pretty. Also sounds like angels. So I think it's a synth doing octaves above that guitar. All right, this chord progression is the pop progression, the 1, 5, 6, 4. So many great songs written with that progression. So let's look at how this melody interacts with the chords. The third of this chord, not a part of the chord really, it's a sixth. The fifth of this chord. Then it creates this gorgeous, I think it's maybe a seventh with this one. Yes. So there's some tension that needs to be relieved here. And it gets relieved. And then they take it a step further by resolving it to this chord too. And then it stays there. So it's the fifth of this chord, the root of this chord, the seventh of this chord, and my favorite, the ninth of this chord. I love the upward motion of it. Ta-da. It's just so pretty, stepwise, very singable, so memorable. Oh, I did want to also point out that, you know how I was talking about how the Edge, he will repeat like a riff over every chord. He won't change the riff at all to like match the chord. He just, you know. And there's something so beautiful about that. Whoever's playing the keyboard here is doing the same thing. This D major chord is just going over all of these. And they create chords with the bass. Like if you just combine them all. This is D major. This is like, it's got an 11th and a 6th in it. And then this one is really pretty. It's minor 7th chord. And then a 9. Oh no, it's actually just a full on major 9th chord. 7th, 9th. Ugh! Okay, let's keep going.
See the thorn twist in your side. I'll wait for you.
The choice to have this melody so high.
Twist of fate on a bed of nails. She makes me wait, and I wait without you. With or without you. With or without you.
The claps. That might be the most tasteful clap in all of the 80s. I know, you want things to happen. Okay. Da, 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 da. Oops. See the storm. A lot of space before he even comes in. Da, 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 da. Push, pull. Da, da, da. What works so well about this chord progression, why maybe it's so popular, is that there's a excuse me, there's a lot of notes in common between the chords in the progression. This one shares 2 notes with this one, which shares 2 notes with this one. And the odd man out is this one, which is the cadencing chord. That's the one that usually brings you home. In this case, they actually don't do it that way, but that's part of why it works for songs with that kind of order, like heart and soul. Okay, in this case, they put it right at the beginning, which makes this move almost deceptive. You think it might go back home. But no. That beautiful 6th chord, it's minor, it's so great. Da, 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 da. So much dissonance. love that. It's so different than da 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 da, which is going up and down, stepwise, very flowy runs, and then and I wait, and he waits on that note. Even though that note doesn't have any dissonance or anything, it still feels kind of emotionally suspended. And I wait. I can't sing this next note. In the range he does. For you. And I love that, which is very similar. Da, da. So, da, da. Root fifth of that chord. But notice how he delays the timing. And I wait for you. It's so good. And on top of that, lead guitar just singing away.
And I wait without you, with or without you, with or without you.
I love the 4 chord so much. That one. With or without you. It's just good. So still, his vocal delivery is really restrained. Lower than he's, and later on he's going to sing up an octave, right? So this gives him so much runway to take off from. Then we get the claps. And then
Through the storm,
Tambo
we reach the shore.
with the snare. No. Yeah, maybe?
And I'm waiting.
Oh, maybe those aren't claps. Maybe they're snare hits. Well, that's the snare. So what is that actually? Maybe he's hitting the 2 toms at once or something?
Through the storm, we reach the shore.
I think it's still going on.
Give it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting.
Oh, I love that harmony. Okay, hang on.
You give it all.
So now the singing synths and guitars are harmonizing with each other instead of being in octaves.
With or without you. Through the storm, we reach the shore.
Right here.
You give it all, but I want more.
So it's a fifth. There's these 2 parallel fifths that I really like. Hang on.
And I'm waiting for you.
Oh my God. This, I gotta figure out what this is. So all of these singing layers, except not Bono, but the instrumental layers that are singing, all culminate into a major chord, but the way they sound against the other chord at that moment is exquisite. I must know.
And I'm waiting for you.
Okay, so it's just another D major chord they're all making, but it's against this one. That sound. Now, it sounds kind of lame the way I'm playing it, so. Okay, there. If I just play it an octave lower, it already sounds better. Ooh, what does that remind me of? All right.
Without you.
Those layers are okay, now the drums are really heating up. Sorry. So this guitar starts, it goes, some delay, dun, 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 hits the major third, all the way down here, and up to the G. So you get I love that. So on the A chord, this note on the guitar is like a seventh, creating some tension. But see, it's just a whole step, lots of whole steps. And now this note, which was the third of this chord, is now the kind of stark fifth of this one. And that's the third of it. And then finally that note fits in with that chord. So beautiful. Just how much space or the range that covers is really interesting. I wonder how he came up with something so big like that. It seems as though their harmony relies a lot on the power of the suspended chord and the add 9 and the 9th chord. This makes sense to me. I have always loved this sound, or maybe this is why I love the sound. And, only in recent years learned the fancy names for them, but that's what that sound is the interval of the 9th interacting with these chords in different ways. Just and also just the shapes of suspended chords. Like you have this whole step and a fourth and a fifth. I feel like that's a lot. There's a lot of those shapes. I'm not hearing so far a whole lot of tritones. Certainly no minor ninths or anything like that. I have heard sevenths and fourths. I guess I've heard everything. But there's no like diminished chords, no augmented chords, no weird sixth chords like nothing like that. Like the half step, very few half steps. That's not true. I'm getting hungry.
And you give, and you give, and you give yourself away.
This whole part is so beautiful. You can feel the rest of the song starting to heat up, because the drums, I love those in betweens. But now, and listen, it's a 9th, but you give yourself, give yourself away. So many of these like push, pull, or maybe it's pull, push, I don't know. And you give, that's tense as well. Give yourself away. There's the 9. I love the way they do this. They just recontextualize and reharmonize the melodies with different chords. I mean, that's not like an uncommon thing, but you'd be surprised how many times a musician will like instinctively think that they have to like change the melody to match the chords. No, you don't. Only when it feels right. Another one of those like reverse, like add 9 things. It's like it's resolved and then it becomes tense to the 9th. And then and you give, and stay on the tense note. And you give, now it's resolved. And you give, and listen to the rhythm. And you give, so the give is anticipating the beat. It's before the beat. And you give, and you give, but this time, and you give yourself, very intentional, right? Finally just hitting that right on the beat. And you give yourself away. And then this big breath. It's almost like an aching, like the way he inhales after this.
And you
Give yourself away.
my hands are tied, the body bruised, she got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. And you
extra building again.
and you give yourself away.
The guitars.
And you give yourself away. With or without
Now he's up an octave and he's not going back down.
With or without you, I can live. With or without.
Okay, it's about to it's about to go down, but before all right, so the kind of the arc of this song I feel like has been, it starts really small and very slowly it gets a little bigger and bigger. More and more guitar layers get added, then the drums start to amp up, and then this sort of give yourself away, and he starts singing higher for one, give yourself away, and that starts to build. And just when you think it's gonna like actually kind of fully realize itself, they pull it back a little bit because Bono goes, my hands are tired, and he starts to sing that low, restrained way again, and it's perfect because of the delivery, right? Body bruised. And then, she got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. And now you feel like it's going to grow again. So there's sort of this, and then and then he does a second time and it's even bigger this time, right? Just the way he's singing it. Give yourself away, right into with or without you. And he's singing it with a lot more, I think it's called a mix or something. Instead of the first time, he's like, with or without you. This time he's like, with or without you. It's so much more resonant. And then he changes the melody to, with or without you. All on those offbeats. With or without you. And I can live. And that beautiful long note in contrast to all this movement is so pure. Live with or without you. And now. It feels like the whole song's been building to this moment. Now he's not even singing words. It's just pure emotion. Here's a great example of a tasteful time to change the melody a little bit to match the chord. It's exactly the same up until that last note. That note instead of and it's also harmonized. So I think there's a lower harmony on it. Not exactly sure, but would be a good assumption to make. But then the third time, it's in unison. I love that choice. In some ways, you would think it would almost go the other way. You'd have like unison, and then the last one, which is the most intense one, would be in harmony. Because harmony usually makes things feel bigger. And this time, it's just this, again, this like focus of double tracking Bono. And it's his biggest one yet. It's so pained and desperate. And he has that flip, which is so, it feels kind of primal or something, like he's crying out. Oh, the bass. Oh my God, there was a hi-hat. We have not really heard hi-hats, but there is a really tasteful open hi-hat that kind of is a transition element into the beginning of the groove again. I love this bridge. And this bridge actually is like leads into the end of the song, which I thought was always interesting because you don't expect that. You think you're going to get another chorus or something. But I love this just kind of stripped back bridge and the Bono and his falsetto. And the bass. Just hitting that D. And he's singing with this guitar who comes in. So they're kind of like in unison. I love that note. I think the bass is actually very underrated in this song. You know, nothing fancy at all. Just the roots of the chords, just on the 8th note, but the tone of it, it's so rich, and that low D, it's just, da, da, da. I always thought that so now the Edge starts improvising a little bit, and he has this da da, and it always reminded me of "Give Yourself Away." I don't know if that was intentional or not, but give yourself. All right, I think it's time to call it a night and feed this poor starving cat again. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to support what I'm doing, you can check out my Patreon. All right, y'all. Until next time. This has been Ixie. Goodbye. Oh, man.